Hello and welcome back to another redstone invention. Today I have for you a multi-floor two-way bubble column elevator. That's quite a mouthful. Anyway, let's take a look. So you can go all the way up to the roof. And you can go all the way back down if you wanted to. And you can access the levels from anywhere. So right now I'm below. I can go up. And if you're above, you can drop back down. There's also a Lecturn version. So over here, it's a little bit weird where 1 is the highest level. And 9 is the lowest level. So 9 is the lowest level. But if you exceed the number, it's still fine. It will just go to the lowest level. Yep. And it's kind of small and simple, honestly. So let's take a look at how it works. So first of all, you have water sources in these stairs over here and a water source here. And what's going to happen is that this and this piston are going to extend, which is going to change the shape of this stairs over here. And every time the redstone line gets updated, this piston will extend and retract because there's a 2-tick repeater over here and the observer looking whenever there's an update, basically. The water source, air block, water source, air block. It's quite simple to build. You start off with a floor and you just build it up layer by layer. Also, another thing to take note is that you need to stagger the activation. So this top layer over here powers these pistons over here. So I'm just going to remove this. Powers these two up here. And I'm just going to break that. And this level powers these two pistons up here. And the reason for it is because it takes time for water sources to reform. So what's going to happen is that if you power the central pistons all at once, when the water sources try to reform, it's going to reform from the bottom up. But if you leave the blocks in place for a little bit of time, the water sources can reform on the block. So that's why you need to stagger it. So you just stagger it by increasing the delay on this repeater to 4, when in normal case it's 2. And then you just add another repeater over here. There are a few variants. So over here it's 4 blocks per level. Up here it's 5 or any other odd number. So all you got to do is just add another layer of blocks over here. Take the redstone line, pull it up here, and instead of a glass block, you have a solid block here. So that Q sees the bottom piston, so it powers 3. So let's take a look. So in this case, it powers 3 blocks. You add an extra observer over here. So that's where the normal redstone line is. You add a target block, a node block, and an observer here, and another 4-tick redstone repeater over here to power the top layer. There's also another variant, in which case you want multiple, a much larger difference between levels. You can just continue on the pattern, but you need to stagger it. So now it's redstone line, repeater, redstone wire. Also, another thing you need to do is that you need to make sure that all these stairs are water source blocks, and you need to fill in this signal transfer area with water source blocks too, including the stairs over here. It's a little bit difficult to do that with just buckets. So what you can do is that you have all air over here, you put a water source at the top. So it's water source, flowing water, flowing water, flowing water. Start putting kelp in from the bottom up, which turns all the flowing water into water source blocks. You break the kelp, so now it's all water source blocks. And if you remove, once you remove the kelp and it's all water source blocks, you can just place the stairs and you'll just be water source in stairs now. To cap it off, so above the water source blocks, you have this observer over here. So this handles the signal transfer. So let's take a look. So what happens is that when you press the button, the observer updates, which pulses this piston over here. It's going to break the bubble column, and the bubble column is going to be broken and reformed, which sends two signals. So what's going to happen is that this piston is going to get extended. It's going to move this observer here, which powers this block here, which then powers this piston over here. And when this piston is extended, it prevents the second signal from powering this piston over here, so it doesn't fire a second time. At the same time, this observer over here gets moved over here, which powers this trapdoor and powers this redstone line over here. So what happens is that the trapdoor changes the shape of the walls, which sends a signal all the way down. And this redstone line over here powers this fence gate over here, and both signals converge into a memory cell. So when this observer sends a pulse into the comparator, it resets the memory cell. And if a signal gets sent down into the redstone line over here, it stays on. If no power gets sent through the line, it turns off. So what happens is that if it's an air block, so like it is right now, it's going to be on. And if it's off over here, it's going to be filled with water. There's also a difference in the way you do the Lecturn version and the button version. So what you do is that you start off at the lowest level with an observer over here, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4. While in the Lecturn version, you start off with 1 over here, and then you just stagger it by 1 every single time. Also, another thing to take note is that when you have large gaps between levels, so like I said before, you just stagger it back and forth, whether it's a wire, repeater, and then just staircase over here to send a signal up. But eventually you're going to run out of power. There's two ways to continue on the power. One is to put a repeater like this, and you send a signal back up like this, back and up all the way to the top if you wanted to, but the delay starts to add up after a while. So what you could do is that you could just build another memory cell and maintain the signal from the memory. So you could just copy it to the high level and have the memory cell be in the exact same state, whether it's on this level or in a higher level, and it'll still be fine. Yeah, I think that's about it. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Remember to hit the bell icon to be notified. And last but not least, stay zen. Bye!